It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heady stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight where Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heady stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Time Decisions. Mike Blewitt in for Kevin Walsh tonight. Happy holidays, upcoming Thanksgiving holidays. We're going to get excited here as we watch a lot of sports. It's what you're going to do all weekend. Obviously, you're going to be sitting on the couch. Maybe you're at a relative's house enjoying a beverage. We're going to help you out all during this holiday week. There's a lot going on the football field, on the gridiron, and clearly on the hardwood. Lots of holiday tournaments. There's MTEs, multi-team events all over the place from Hawaii to Vegas. Everywhere else will get you settled there. But we start on the gridiron, recapping last night's game where the Niners win in pretty ugly fashion, a 20-9 victory. Star of the game, should be no surprise to anybody, was Christian McCaffrey. He is really record pace. He's going to try to get to 1,000 rushing and receiving, and he's well within range of doing that. He'll be only the third player in NFL history to do it. I believe you have a Marshall Faulk and a Roger Craig that have done it before, but Christian McCaffrey having a fantastic season. He should be in the MVP mix if they can get there on the division side, and that win last night goes a long way to helping them within the division. On the flip side, the Panthers really couldn't take advantage of Brock Purdy turnovers. So he had 3 interceptions in the first half. Add to that a fumble by Christian McCaffrey along the way, and Bryce Young really has a horrendous interception. They pick one off, are in striking range. He probably could have walked into the end zone on a run, decides to throw it, turns it over, and that really was kind of their best chance at scoring a touchdown throughout the night. So Niners move to 8-4. Panthers fall to 6-6. Don't take advantage of the Bucs losing on Sunday night. They could have been in the NFC South lead, but we turn over to some futures here. I love to play the NFL futures market. Kevin Walsh and I talk about it quite a bit. And we'll take a look at what the NFC race looks like now. I think we're starting to get to a point where it's not just a few people that are saying the Rams are the best team in football. They're certainly playing like it. I would say that through week 12, heading into week 13, we've seen plenty of teams that don't necessarily look like the best team in football go on a run in through the playoffs and surprise people. But right now, with a lot of teams that are maybe not impressing us, the Rams are the one team that is. Only the couple of losses on the season, one of which was on multiple block field goals in the fourth quarter in Philly, and that Niners Thursday night loss. Outside of that, they're on fire. They've sandwiched 6 wins around their bye week in week 8, and they are set to play a couple of road games here at Panthers, at Cardinals, before they take on the Lions at home. Lots of divisional games left for them, but the Rams in really good position to potentially snag that 1 seed, especially after the Philly loss to Dallas over the weekend. And with the Rams at plus 430, Eagles at plus 600, here's the Super Bowl odds. Chiefs, despite their record, the book's not willing to bust the Chiefs down to plus 1,000. What I would say for the NFC odds is I don't really see any long shots there. You got Rams and Philly at the top. I think Seattle, and Scott Wetzel and I that host In-Game Live on Sundays, Seattle was a little bit of a longer shot before this weekend. They are interesting to me. A lot of people won't bet on them because Sam Darnold is the quarterback, and they need to be proven wrong that he's not good enough before they're willing to bet him. But I think of the teams that are a little bit lower down, they interest me. Obviously, the Lions are a very explosive, dangerous team, but they've had some bad losses on the year. Beyond that, as good as I think the Niners are coached and play, I do think that their injuries, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, take them out of the running to win a Super Bowl. That's just how I feel about it. I don't think they're going to get there. And beyond that, the Packers, a very mercurial team. Could they be the type of team that has struggled with a not so impressive record, but then find themselves in a position where they get on a run? Is that possible for the Green Bay Packers at 7-3-1, an ugly 7-3-1, but they have the Lions, Bears, Broncos, Bears, Ravens at home, and the Vikings? That could be 4 more wins. Can they pull off the division there? Still possible. I think that'll be a really interesting one. But beyond that, let's take a little bit of a look at the AFC as well. I want to make sure we have some AFC odds here as well with the teams playing this Thursday night. The Ravens taking on the Bengals. We'll preview all these games a little bit later with Tom Vecchio, with George Kurtz. We've got James Young on in the next 2 segments to talk hardwood. But here you go. Colts plus 490, bumped down a little bit after the loss to the Chiefs. Pats at 5-1. I think what's in the Pats and Broncos' favor is a schedule that remains fairly soft the rest of the way. They're going to battle it out for the 1 seed, but I think it's one of these cases, one of these years where not too many people will think that the 1 seed in the AFC is the favorite. You have the Chiefs. Yes, they're hanging on by a thread, and they have a huge comeback win. Is it just all for naught, right? Are we pumping up the dramatic story of the Kansas City Chiefs only to see them really not have the firepower they've had in years past? We haven't seen it consistently. A lot of these games are very close. The Raiders 31-0 game feels like eons ago, and they just haven't been consistent enough for me to plunk my money down. From the beginning of the year, I thought this was a Ravens or Bills year, and while both teams have issues, the Ravens are probably still the team a little bit lower down the list that I would bet on, only because I think they'll have a path. I think they'll win a bunch more games in the regular season and be in a position to maybe have a home playoff game, and then what happens from there? Kansas City won't be hosting these games anymore. There you see the Ravens schedule. Bengals, Steelers, Bengals, Pats, Green Bay, Steelers. Those last 3, Pats, at Green Bay, at Steelers, that's really tough. That's really tough. But I wouldn't be surprised if they have 3 wins before that, right? And then they're 9-5 going into that last three. Still think they're a dangerous team, but I have my doubts if they can hold up. They lost Matabike during the year. Is that too much for him? The last thing you'll see here, MVP. I think right now it's very clear Matt Stafford as the favorite deserves it. 30 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Drake May's been fantastic as well, but Stafford really with these gaudy numbers. I'd love to give Jonathan Taylor and guys like CMC a shot, but it's just not what the award has been. There's no other way to say it. And Daniel Jones, 17 touchdowns to 7 picks. That doesn't elicit MVP talk, but does his presence, does his play steal any votes away from somebody like Jonathan Taylor? Josh Allen always in the mix if they went on a run and they won the division and the Pats fall apart. I suppose that's possible, but I just don't see it. Jackson Smith and Jigma is a great name on there. Look, I'm a believer. Kevin and I joke about it all the time. Sam Darnold's at 50-1 here. I don't think he's going to win the MVP. But if the Seahawks overtake the Rams and win the division and potentially snag the number 1 seed, is it worth a bet? I think it's worth a couple of bucks. I think it's worth a little something. Maybe it's my faith in Sam Darnold will never die. It's not going to die is the fun that we're going to have here. Coach Young coming up next. We're going to talk a lot of hardwood. NBA Cup coming up. Mike Blewitt in for Kevin Walsh.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said earlier.
You got hit behind the line of scrimmage. You got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
And we're back. James Young going to join us here in a minute. Obviously, we got through some NFL stuff, and NBA Cup is on coming up. We got Hawks and Wizards tipping off in just a few. You got Magic and Sixers tipping off at 8 o'clock, and then the late night game, Clips and Lakers. Spreads, Hawks laying 11.5. Orlando on the road laying 4.5 to the Sixers, and then you got the Clippers and Lakers, 2 LA teams matching up. Lakers favored by 6.5. Obviously, amongst those teams, the Wiz, typical Wiz season, I guess you would say, 1-15 on the year, and could be eliminated from the Cup, the NBA Cup officially, with the Hawks if the Hawks get a victory tonight. So welcoming in Coach James Young. Coach, good to see you as always. Been a minute since we had a chance to chat, but would love your take on the NBA Cup. First, before we get into the games specifically, are you a fan of the NBA Cup? It's a little bit of a novelty. We're early on in this process, having just done it for the first time a year ago, but it's long been talked about. Maybe we should inject some excitement into early season matchups. Do you think that this is doing the job for the NBA?
I think so, Blue. It's always a pleasure to be on with you, my friend. Happy Thanksgiving to you and the family.
Likewise.
Mike, when you really think about it, we always think about the unofficial start of the NBA to be Christmas Day, right? So this gives a little bit of juice and a little bit of excitement to it. Not only that, the NBA could now charge their partners, their media broadcast partners, more money, and they could charge their revenue. They can pull in more revenue and ad dollars. So it's kind of a win-win-win for everyone. But to me, it kind of gives a little bit of juice. I think, Blue, what I personally think is this is bigger for the younger teams, right? The teams that are trying to make that move. We saw this with Indiana a couple of years ago, right? When they kind of went to the finals, and then that kind of springboard their run to the Eastern Conference Finals when they lost to Boston. Obviously, they went to the finals last year. So when you start looking at teams, right? Teams like Portland, teams like San Antonio, teams like Detroit, even a team like Atlanta without Trey, right? These teams, this is good for them. Toronto is another team who's won 7 straight games. Mike, I think this means something because you try to build something in regards to a winning culture, but also those younger teams, Mike, they got guys that don't make as much money. So that check on the end of it has a little bit to do with this as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And also, not necessarily if you have a coaching change, but you're talking about young players. I'm also talking, I would also add to that perhaps coaches that are not that tenured on that particular team. If it's a new coaching change or the second year as you try to go through a rebuilding process, right? These coaches don't get these jobs because everything was going swimmingly before. So to get the coach in there, maybe in year 2, they're like, okay, we got our legs under us in year 1, a lot of young players. Now here's where we go after it. I can put my stamp on this organization by winning a little something for us. Doesn't mean we have to win the NBA title in the same year, although that's always the goal. But I think coaches wanting to put their stamp on the culture of the team is important as well.
Yeah, and I think if you really kind of look at it, right, Toronto's ahead. They haven't made the playoffs in years. Group B, Detroit. Detroit had that great season with New York. A bounce here, a bounce there, Blue. They win. Orlando, trying to build some kind of culture, right? Miami's been down the last couple of years. And then you look at a team like Phoenix. All the trades, all the movement. No one's expecting much out of them. And then you get to Group C, where you have Portland at 2-1 with the Chauncey Billups, being, not being there now. They need to make a run. San Antonio has to make a run. So to me, yeah, I think it is a combination of those young teams trying to ascend or those coaches trying to put a stamp and look at the front office and say, hey, in these situations, I was able to get wins. So I think it means a lot more than just the check. I think it's about building culture and a winning tradition in your team.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk Orlando with you, but we'll pause there as we set up the first game of the night, which is the Hawks taking on the Wizards. You mentioned no Trae Young, and it still has the Wizards as an 11-point dog, 1-15 on the year. It's kind of same old Wiz, but expectations in this one, it's a lot of points to lay.
Same old Wiz? They may be worse than the same old Wiz. Because remember back in the day in Jersey or New York, it was the story, no one beats the Wiz. I got a new one called Everybody Beats the Wiz because they're the worst team in the NBA. But I will say that Atlanta's got into an interesting spot, Mike. Winners of 7 in the last 10. They're playing better, ready? Without Trae Young. Yeah. Johnson has stepped up 7 or more assists in 8 straight games. I like Onyeka Okongwu over 14.5 points. His scores at the rim and the Wizards are 27th and defending the rim and defending centers. So look at Onyeka Okongwu over 14.5 points. Mike, I agree with you. It's a lot of points, but I would go over 122.5. 3 of the last 5, Atlanta went over this. The 2 games they didn't was Orlando, and obviously Washington is terrible defensively. Look at over 122.5 for Atlanta. Onyeka Okongwu over 14.5 points.
All right, I love that. So, obviously, all different types of ways to attack these games, folks. We're going to go with the Atlanta team total here. Now, when you have a higher scoring game like that, it certainly puts them in a better position to cover the 11. But such as life in the NBA and wagering on the NBA, you can always get those backdoor covers as well. So, how about expectations for Atlanta? Like you said, playing better. How about long term for them? NBA Cup aside, long term for them. Can they weather the storm here and continue to be a better team? And if Trey is ever getting back, can they fold him in here and play well long term?
I think so. When you had Dyson Daniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker in the backcourt, obviously with the ascension of Jalen Johnson, you have Porzingis at the center position. That team should be a top 6 team in the playoffs. And if they do get there, or if they start to struggle with Trey gets back, you may have to look at, do you move on from Trey? Because Atlanta keeps changing the deck. Mike, the only thing that haven't changed in the deck is Trey Young.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Obviously, defensive liabilities and everything else. So when Coach and I come back, we'll get to Orlando, Philly. We'll do the LA matchup, Clippers at Lakers. The NBA Cup. We'll be right back on the grid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I
He
said earlier.
got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back with Coach Young here on the grid, talking NBA Cup. We've got the Orlando Magic taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Magic laying 4.5. Philly plus 154 on the money line. 227.5 is the total. I think Orlando is a pretty fascinating team to me, Coach, for a couple of reasons. They make the Desmond Bane move, and they continue to have guys that, while they were first-round draft picks, I still don't think that everybody bought in on Paulo and on Franz Wagner. So here we are, a few years into their career. They're dropping 20 a night. They add Desmond Bain. This is a team that can go out and score, not to mention the athleticism of Jalen Suggs and everything else. It is a team that can go out and score. So do they drop a big number on Philly tonight?
Well, listen, Philly's a mash unit tonight. I think it was like 1.5, and now, you know, if I'm not mistaken, PG's out, Embiid's out, Edgecombe's out, Kelly Oubre's out, and if they could put Dr. J on the injury report, he probably would be out too. So to me, yeah, the play is Orlando. Obviously, Orlando is without Paulo Banchero, but what I like about this team is with Bain, they address the shooting. But these younger guys are stepping up. You got to remember, Jalen Suggs missed a ton of time last year. He's back. Anthony Black has stepped up. Obviously, you got to look at the Silver in the second year, kid out of Colorado, playing good basketball, getting you 11.8 points per game. So they are getting, while Paulo's scoring is down, they can hit you in waves, which makes them really good, really dangerous. And I honestly thought that Jamal Mosley could have been the coach of the year if they just didn't have all the injuries. So, and they play really good defense. I'm all in on Orlando, and I'll lay the 4.5 tonight.
Okay. I'm with Coach on that. I don't really see Philly with that many injuries. It's almost a little bit of a shocking spread considering the number of injuries that Coach just listed off. But again, no Paulo. So, all right, LA versus LA. Lakers laying 6.5 here. Clippers plus 220 on the money line. 229.5 is the total.
You know, when you look at this game, number one, I had these teams completely flipped in what I thought this year, right? I thought the Clippers were going to be really, really good, and I wasn't sold on the Lakers. I'll be dead honest with you. The Clippers are a mess. Beal out for the year. Derrick Jones Jr. is out. Kawhi just got back. They're just a mess. The Lakers, on the other hand, it's almost like LeBron was gone, and they kind of figured themselves out, right? Obviously, Austin Reeves got off to a tremendous start without Luka. That dynamic backcourt. And though he's not playing tonight, we must give our flowers to DeAndre Ayton. He was getting 20 and 10 3 straight games before the injury. Knee contusion, he's out tonight. The way I look at this game is LA versus LA, rivalry game. I'm going team total under 110.5 for the Clippers. They've gone into 3 of the last 4. Lakers have held 3 of the last 4 to this. I know no DeAndre Ayton tonight. Kawhi is back, but I just think this is a rough game. I think it's a low-scoring game, and the Clippers are going to win. They're going to have to keep it really, really close to the vest. I'm going under 110.5 for the Clippers tonight.
What do you think the main reason? What do you attribute the Lakers' success to? You said they figured themselves out a little bit. Is that JJ Redick trying to figure out what this team looks like without LeBron? He's looking at a future Lakers team, maybe with LeBron not on it long term.
I think he's figured out that they've got to run it through the guards. And I think Austin Reeves' ascension has been tremendous. But I think what's happened now is LeBron's coming back, and he doesn't have to get you, Mike, 25, 30 a night. I'm going to say something that's going to drive people crazy. The best version of LeBron for this Lakers team is a guy that gets between 15 to 19 points, 7 to 9 assists, and 5 or 6 rebounds and let him spray the ball around. So what do I do love tonight? LeBron James over 7.5 assists, had 8+ in both those matches. I know it's Utah, but Utah gave him a scare in game number 2. I'm going LeBron over 7.5 assists tonight.
Do you think, based on what you said, and I would concur with you that would be the best version. Do you think that he can put his pride to rest a little bit and be that player for them this season?
If they can get a ring, yes. If not, LeBron will leave, and he'll try and find some next landing spot to get 1 ring. And Lord, please do not let it be the Knicks. Please don't let it be the Knicks.
That would be rough.
That would be rough.
I'm not a LeBron hater. I'm not one of those people. Kevin obviously is the biggest LeBron fan I know, but that would be rough to have it be his final parting shot in the NBA. All right, Coach, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League.
Yep.
So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I
He
said
got
earlier.
hit behind the line of
worst problem
scrimmage.
on
He got
this team
tackled
is the
in the
offensive
end zone.
line. Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing
No
is,
surprise.
Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
And we are back. Top of the hour here with Game Time Decisions, welcoming in Tom Vecchio. You find him here on the grid all week long. You'll see him here on the grid during the holidays. Tom, good to be here. Happy holidays to you and yours. And hopefully you had a little pre-happy holiday win with an under last night. These primetime unders are coming in. It's not exciting like you said during the break, but it's effective.
It certainly is, and thanks for having me. It's good to be here on Sunday night when Brady and I were doing IGL. We were looking at the lines. Obviously, the game got out of hand a little bit, so we were previewing Monday night a little bit. And I saw a first half 25.5 total, which is not a normal line that we often get. We often get 23.5, 24.5, and sometimes when it's 24.5, it's heavily juiced to the under, minus 170s, whatnot. I saw 25.5 at minus 120. That is a great line. You need 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals. 3 touchdowns on a field goal doesn't get you across. So I looked at that. I thought the Panthers are a team, and still are a team, that are not as good as their record indicates. And I know Purdy played terribly in the first half, but I think the 49ers are still in a spot to trend up with their offense getting much healthier.
Yeah, and let's focus on the Panthers for a second, because I think you're right. And to your point about 25.5, I'm with you. I'm an under on lines like that. But those turnovers really hooked it up. It's an interception in the end zone. The Niners with multiple turnovers. Purdy, I thought, he was confusing, actually, because they were moving the ball and then Purdy just was sailing throws and getting them picked off. But that win streak that the Panthers had, they beat Atlanta 30-0. Great. Atlanta's the most confusing team in the NFL. Then they get blown out by the Pats. A 3-point win against the Dolphins, a 3-point win against the Cowboys, pretty good. And then one of the ugliest games of the year against the Jets. And then the Packers win looks great, but you and I would probably both sit here and say, yeah, isn't that really more about the Packers and the Panthers going on the road and scoring 16 points and winning?
Right, and I'm a big proponent of this, and I always have been. Picking up wins is important, but more importantly, who you beat, how you beat them, that's really telling. And that's also like who you lose to. We have to combine all of these things. It's not just one or the other. So when you are beating mediocre to bad teams like the Dolphins or the Jets, and you're barely beating them by a late field goal or whatever it might be, like that is not good. Like the record looks good, But ultimately, that's not gotten good. Needing overtime to beat the Falcons 2 weeks ago, not a good look when we know how bad the Falcons are when it's all said and done. So when we see a quarterback like Bryce Young and he's failing to consistently get to 200 yards, there's just not enough offensive juice to keep up with even competent offensive teams. And that's what the 49ers are. They may not be amazing, but they're at least a competent offensive team with the weapons that they have. So the Panthers are a team to me that I think we should be looking to fade. I know the 10.5 line for next week against the Rams is a bit much. I'm not saying I love the Rams, but there's just no faith in me for the Panthers to do anything.
So let's flip over to the Niners side. You said you're having faith in them. Purdy's back. I thought it was a really brutal performance in that first half, but Christian McCaffrey took over and they won that game pretty comfortably, right? They just conceded the 3 field goals. And I think you and I both have a lot of faith in Kyle Shanahan and a team that's pretty banged up. And to me, it hurts their chances of getting to the mountaintop and getting to a Super Bowl, not having Fred Warner, not having Nick Bosa. But it doesn't mean I don't think the Niners can rip off a bunch more wins at 8-4 and going to play Shedeur Sanders. Then they have the Titans at the Colts, and the Bears and Seahawks games are home games. So at Cleveland and at Indianapolis are their 2 road games, and they have a bye week left. So maybe they continue to get a little bit healthier through all of this.
Absolutely. And again, this is also something that Brady and I touched on in terms of it being somewhat of a buy low spot for the 49ers, because, regardless of, who they beat, there's going to be public money backing the Niners. And, we were talking on Sunday, if they beat the Panthers, they can beat the Browns, they have a bye, then they beat the Titans. All of a sudden, hang on. Now they're on a 4-game win streak. They're going to be looking good in the division. They're going to be looking good to make the playoffs. There will be some public money backing the 49ers because of Shanahan and just because of the pedigree that they have overall. So buying into them before a very probable win streak, I think would be the right thing to do. And I spoke about saying a little piece of them to win the conference would be better than the Super Bowl, because I just don't think they're good enough to win the Super Bowl when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
And again, pushing to the playoffs and them being, I don't want to say in full stride or hitting things at the right time, they still are a dangerous team. And I don't think any first round team wants to meet them, even if that other team has home field.
Totally agree. In fact, they're 11-1 to win the division. I think what Tom said is taking a piece to win the conference is almost a better play now than the division. You can play them both, but ultimately their ability to get on a big win streak here. The Rams are probably not going to falter enough to lose the division, but right now it's just a game and a half, and they split during the season. So you have opportunities here for the Niners, and yeah, they could throw some big punches in the playoffs. I think I'm just really worried about those injuries. And I would say this isn't the first time, Tom, that we would see the Niners get on a late season run. They've done it before and gone to the Super Bowl with Jimmy G, with Purdy. They got on late season win streaks and played their best football in December into January.
Right. And I would say for the 49ers, a part of my handicap, and I don't know how to phrase this properly, but it's the sum of their parts kind of situation, like a rising tide lifts all ships. They have to be good as a team. It can't just be one individual because of the injuries, right? Missing Warner's a big thing. It has to be everyone collectively via the coaching, via the effort everyone brings. That's what's going to help push them forward because they're missing so many pieces at this point.
Yeah. They were 5-3 during the 2023 season and went to the Super Bowl. And in the 2019 season, they were, they had faltered a little bit in the middle of the year, but then ripped off huge wins all throughout. So that was a pretty good team, that 2019 version that lost to the Chiefs late. So, all right. So we got that out of the way. We know sort of how we feel. I think we're both on the same page that the Panthers are going in the wrong direction, but the Niners are a dangerous team. How about these other teams that are pretty dangerous? A big NFC North matchup to kick off Thanksgiving Thursday. You got the Packers traveling into Detroit. Detroit laying 2.5 kind of makes sense. Divisional rivals. You give them the home field advantage. 49.5 is the total. Lions obviously really good at home offensively. It took them a while to get going against the Giants, but Jahmyr Gibbs went crazy, and it allowed them to pull off a much-needed victory. There were a few teams, the Lions amongst them, that desperately needed victories and got it.
Yes, they did. And, I said this to Kevin last night. a part of me wants to take the under on all 3 games on Thanksgiving and just hope that 2 of the 3 come through. I haven't done that yet, but I'm almost waiting for the public money to continue to bet them up to get a 50.5 for Lions Packers. The 52.5 for Chiefs Cowboys, which we'll get to in a little bit. I don't think that'll get much higher, but taking a lot of unders. I know the Lions offense is amazing, but this is also a great Packers defense. And the issue in this game really is that the Packers offense is not good. So if the Packers defense can at least keep the Lions in check and don't allow them to score 30, 35, you can keep them at that 21 to 24 range. I'm not sure the Packers have enough on offense to even push back. So it's going to be a game where we're going to say, the Packers kind of did their job. The Packers held them to 21 points. Oh, the Packers offense couldn't score more than 17. And, it'd be right at that number of 2.5, 3 points, whatever it might be. And eventually the Packers just don't have the juice on offense to push the game over. That's what I really think it comes down to. 24-17, 21-17. It may be an exciting start today, but it's an important divisional matchup. And it's a short week, and the shortest week possible because they're playing at 1 p.m., not 8 p.m.
Correct. So Packers are the top 5D, very good at getting off the field on third down, top 10 in the league. I think I'm with you on this, Tom. I think the totals are too high. These are very public games. Those very public games are going to be you're going to bet towards the favorites, or at least the public favorites, and they're going to bet towards the over. I'm comfortable taking an under. And these 2 teams played to 40 earlier this year in Green Bay in week 1, 27-13 victory for the Packers. Score like that wouldn't surprise me, or something a little bit tighter than that. I'm not back for Thanksgiving action after this.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said
earlier. He got hit behind the line of
scrimmage.
He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Back with Tom Vecchio. Thanksgiving action coming up in just a couple of days. We did a little bit of Green Bay and Detroit. Let's flip the page over to that game with the star. That's the Dallas Cowboys. They're taking on the Kansas City Chiefs with maybe the biggest star in the league in Patrick Mahomes. Cowboys are home dogs here, coming off their biggest victory of the season. We talked during the break, Tom, really one of Dak Prescott's biggest victories of his career. Obviously, outpace a playoff game. But considering they were down 21-0, a team that's several games in front of them in the divisional race, for them to come all the way back and shut down the Eagles offense after they exploded to a 21-0 lead, really impressive. Dak has unfortunately a very poor record against good teams, but his record against NFC East teams countered that. He's 22-2 against them all time. Now he's got to take on Patrick Mahomes just a few days later.
Yeah, great win for the Cowboys. Two teams between the Chiefs and the Cowboys that have a ton going on. But when it comes to the Cowboys coming off this win, obviously it's huge for them for so many different reasons, like you said. Just the narrative of Dak, the expectations for the Cowboys year in and year out, the fact that they were down by so much, it was a divisional opponent, like all these things happened at the same time. If the Cowboys were down against I don't know, pick a team, the Bears, obviously still a decent team. Like it would have been the same thing if Dak comes back and was at home and they beat a different team. But the point being, the Cowboys are trending up. And, I said this prior to the Raiders game that the Cowboys were getting pieces on defense. And I know it wasn't a tough test against the Raiders. I'm not saying it was, but getting players via the trade game, players back via injury, Overshown came back. Like they got an injection of talent into their defense. And I'm not saying that the Cowboys defense is good, but it is factually better than it was 3 weeks ago. Just raw talent from that perspective, it's better. So when it comes to this matchup, to see the number move from 3.5 down to 3, I'm not surprised to see people buy into the Cowboys. When it comes to the Chiefs, their defense is good. It always has been good. And I don't see this game pushing past 50 points. Honestly, I'd be surprised if this game got past 45 points. And I know that's not that much of a difference, but a key number brings us to a spot that we can be comfortably taking the under. Again, 24-20. I think that's where we end. Mike, I don't know about you, but I don't see this as 4 touchdowns on both sides.
No. In fact, the total the other day with the Colts game was right around 50.5. Maybe it was like in the 51 range. And I like the under there. That ends up being a 23-20 game. Here's the reality. And some people are shocked at the Colts fourth quarter numbers. I think they had something like 9
18
offensive plays for 13 yards or something like that in the fourth quarter, 3 and outs. Anybody that has been watching the Chiefs for the last 10 years, and Steve Spagnuolo is a defensive coordinator, they dominate in the second half of games. They win Super Bowls because of it, and that hasn't gone away. We can poke holes in the offensive line and lack of explosivity consistently on offense, but the defense isn't getting run over. They still have Chris Jones making plays. They have guys that really limit opposing quarterbacks in the second half. And I do think they can do that to Dak. I don't expect it to get to 50. As a fan, it would be fun to see a lot of points. But the Chiefs like to choke teams out in the second half, and they're ugly, and they don't win going away, and they don't cover. It's fine. They've won Super Bowls because of it.
Yeah, exactly. Last year, the narrative was 2 things: that they are, winning close games or winning like games via coin flip, block field goals, late field goals, whatever it might be. They're not covering big numbers. And also the lack of deep balls and explosive plays, to your point, on offense. Like that has been the issue for the Chiefs. Also, the receivers not catching passes. That was an issue last year. But they are constantly in close games, and they eke out close wins, and they don't cover 6s or 6.5s, and they win by 3. They don't cover 3.5s, whatever it might be. They win by 3. And that's what we're going to consistently see from the Chiefs anytime we have a public matchup like this. So if you got the 3.5 for the Cowboys, that's fantastic. I honestly don't think the 3.5 will be back between now, Tuesday night, and Thursday afternoon when this game rolls around. I think that's gone. But again, the defense being paramount for the Chiefs, I think, is going to be the key thing. The pressure that they can bring on Dak and force I don't want to say hesitation in the offense, but force him to make plays rather than he has to pick apart a defense. I think that's the kind of route that I'm envisioning.
Yeah. I mean, the Chiefs had lost 15 one-score games in a row, had won 15 one-score games in a row, then lost 5 in a row. It's weird for it to happen like that, for the trends to just completely 180, and then they finally win the one-score game 23-20. I think it could be a close one, but I expect low scoring. I'm with the under. I think I'll take the Chiefs, but that's a live betting opportunity for me. Like maybe the Cowboys get up and you can bet back against the Chiefs. You'll probably get the Chiefs at plus money at some point during the game. Let's do the night game. We got Joe Burrow likely to return. He takes on the Ravens, who are have won 5 in a row now, 6-5. They are in the divisional lead in the AFC North, laying 7 points here. Tricky with Burrow coming back. I love Joe Burrow. I just don't know. The hard part about this game is that the Ravens offense isn't often running. There's talk about, is Lamar fully healthy? But they scored 23 points 2 weeks in a row against inferior opponents. I just wonder what's up with the Ravens offense. Why can't they get it going?
It's a good question. When it comes to Joe Burrow and the Bengals, Chase will be back from suspension. T. Higgins, I doubt he's going to clear concussion protocol on a short week. I don't think that's going to happen. So their offense isn't operating at full strength. That's going to be a bit of an issue for them overall. Also, Andre Yoshivach, their third string receiver, also got hurt late in that game last week, so he may not play. So it may be just Jamar Chase and a bunch of other players. They got Mike Gesicki back last week. So the Bengals offense is going to be all over the place. This is going to be a true test an inflection point for the Ravens offense, because to your point, they haven't been scoring and the Bengals defense is terrible. So if the Ravens cannot get it going in this matchup, that is a very concerning sign. So I'm not worried about the Bengals scoring a little bit. I think they'll get to 17 is kind of my base expectation, but the Ravens pushing past and covering this number, that is going to be the most telling thing in this matchup. How good is their offense? How healthy is Lamar?
Joe Burrow's pass attempts at 36.5.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a Chase Brown show, folks. I think he's going to come out and rip it. Tom's right. No T. Higgins, and they got some issues. I think Joe Burrow's going to come out and just start slinging it. So I think you see over 40 pass attempts for Joe Burrow. Tom, great to have you here. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the games all week. Talk to you soon.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said
earlier.
earlier.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Well, thanks to Tom Vecchio for joining us. Going to have Scott Wetzel and George Kurtz coming up in the final half hour of the show. But just going to take a few minutes here to update you on the board, get the live scores for you. And we start off in the NBA. How about that? We spent all of our time talking about terrible. And then we have an 18-4 lead for the Wiz early. The Hawks were laying 11 points in this game. They're now down 14. So we'll get you a live line on that. So if you were so bold as to lay the 11, you could bet back into it. You're only laying 2.5 right now. So it's what in-game live and SportsGrid is all about. We give you these opportunities when the games are tipped. You can bet back against it. We do it all Sunday long on in-game live, myself and Scott Wetzel and lots of other people beside us. So there you go. Quick early lead there for the Wizards. And we have in college football, the one game that had kicked off was an early kick, like a 4:30 kick. We had Bowling Green and UMass, so some action there. Bowling Green winning, going away 38-14. They had been laying double digits in that one. They're going to cover easily. UMass will fall to 0-12, a winless season for UMass. Not great. So they ran all over them, 38 points for Bowling Green, who will improve to 4-8 on the season. College basketball, lots of games going on. A really interesting matchup with Tennessee and Houston. There's 16 minutes left in that Players Era Festival game. Houston now takes the lead. They're up 44-41. I'll get you a live line on that one. And let me see where it is right now. It is Houston laying 3.5 with the 3-point lead. The total is up to 144.5. You've got Seton Hall and USC. USC under 2 minutes to go. USC with a 4-point lead. They're laying 4.5. Seton Hall coming off the victory against NC State. To that point, no unranked team had beat a ranked team in college basketball. It took 3 weeks for that to happen. The longest stretch in the history of the AP poll from season start. I believe it was 96 instances. Might be off by a couple there, but we had a lot of games of ranked and unranked teams to start the year, and that Seton Hall team was the first one to do the deed. They're going to try and knock off USC right here with under 2 minutes to go. Got lots of other college basketball games going on right now. Utah Valley against South Dakota State. You've got Drexel and Morgan State. You've got tons of games going on all across the country. Mount St. Mary's and Ohio State. Mount St. Mary's, a tournament team last year, but down 26 to Ohio State. College basketball is one of my first loves. It's an awesome sport to wager on, but with the transfer portal, I would concede that it can be really difficult to get a read on teams early in the season. And I think the ranked, unranked situation coming off of what happened last season in the tournament, where there were very few upsets, may be a long-term trend, right? The players from teams filtering up into the power teams. And while we don't know how the makeups of each individual roster will fare early on in this season, the teams are becoming weighted and more talented at the power level than they even used to be, obviously with financial resources tipping those scales. So I think you'll see more of that. It'd be much harder for unranked teams to knock off those ranked teams. If you're those veteran teams, though, will always have a chance. You got teams like St. Bonnie's taking on North Carolina tonight. St. Bonnie's does a really good job with sort of veteran, foreign-born players and stacking their roster that way. And they're in a dogfight with North Carolina right now. It's a 6-point game with 15 minutes to go. So Bonnie's in the mix. So we'll keep you posted all throughout the night. We're going to talk with football with Scott Wetzel, talk a little bit of hoops, George Kurtz a little bit later. We'll talk football, obviously, with him, and we'll talk a little bit. We'll get on the ice with George. George and I go back further than any two hosts on this network. We worked together really when SportsGrid first started. So it'd be good to talk to him again and get his take on his Cowboys taking on the Chiefs, coming off one of their biggest regular season wins in a while. So we'll keep you posted on NBA Cup, on NCAA hardwood, and on another football game kicking off tonight. You got Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan. For more matches tonight.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League.
Yep.
So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I
He
said
got
earlier.
hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing
No
is,
surprise.
Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
And we are back on Game Time Decisions, bringing in my buddy, my co-host, Scott Wetzel. We are together every Sunday afternoon, NFL Sundays. We kick it off here on the grid from 1 to 4:30. We set up the early games. We preview on the later games and generally have a lot of fun tracking 7, 8, or 9 games. Sometimes even we had an international game bleed over into the start of the game, although those were never particularly fun. So, Scott, good to be here with you. We'll be together again on Sunday, but we got a lot more to talk about tonight because we got a lot of hardwood going on tonight, lots of college basketball, but we start with the NBA Cup. I had previewed it earlier with Coach Young. That was a game where the Hawks were laying 11 points heading into the game, but the Wizards exploded to start the game, up 32-11 in the first quarter.
Yeah, it's amazing. I still like Atlanta, Mike, and it's a little different now, but we were talking, in the break there when it was 35-14. They were up 21 points, Washington, right? So they're up 21. They're at home. So a little pop quiz. What do you think the point spread would be? Under normal circumstances, you would figure a team that's up 21 would be laying at least, 11, 12, 13, if not more, right? The Wizards are so bad that even when they were up 21, they were only a 2.5-point favorite. It's a little bit more now because they're, believe it or not, they're stretching out this lead. I don't know what Atlanta Hawks team came to play today, but clearly they didn't. So it's 43-16, and now it's up to 8.5. But I still would take, I'll let me see Atlanta lose this game. Washington's lost 14 in a row. I'll gladly take the Hawks right now plus the 8.5. And even sprinkle a little bit on the money line plus 260.
That's right. Plus 260. So here's the issue. The amazing part is the Wizards so far have 44 points with 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Here's the reason. They're 15 of 20, including hitting all 8 threes. They can't miss. So you have to figure that will even out at some point.
You would think, right? It's the Washington Wizards. The Wizards, again, are so bad, Mike. They've lost 14 straight, right? They're 1-15 or so on the season, and they're even 3-11 their last 16 against the last 14 against the spread. So what's Scott? Well, when you're that bad, and you've been that bad, the point spreads are not going to be pick 'em. Who's betting on Washington? So despite the point spreads probably being even higher than what they should be, they're losing so bad they're not even covering the spread. they're that bad. That's a big feat in the world of Vegas. It really, to be that bad or that good, on the other hand, and be able to cover the number. It's the same type of thing. So, like I said, listen, they're up almost 30 points right now. But you watch at the end of your show or the end of mine with me and Morency coming up here in a little bit, they'll lose this basketball game. You just watch. They will.
Yeah, you will see Scott coming up with Gabe at 8, Gabe Morency at 8 o'clock Eastern. They'll stay with you for 2 hours in-game live and track all this live action. They finally missed a three-pointer. Corey Kispert, 4 of 5 from 3. McCollum, 4 for 4 from deep. So let's move over to the other NBA, one of the other NBA games tonight. Orlando takes on Philly, but you had a little bit of a play on the Lakers and the Clippers. Lakers laying 6.5 against the Clippers, struggling but getting Kawhi back.
Yeah, listen, how much is Kawhi going to play, right? They're not going to throw him out there for 35-plus minutes, right? They got to take their chances and hope he can give you 20-plus minutes. So I don't quite get this line. I know he's back. Does that make all the difference in the world? Like I said, you're not getting Kawhi, in midstream form and everything. So Clippers are awful. I'm surprised. The line was 5.5. It opened up, at least when I saw it early this morning, and now it is up to 6.5, like you mentioned. But that's okay. Lakers are the home team, right? So all the fans there are going to be Laker fans. Clippers have lost 10 of their last 12, 4-11 against the spread. They're not even covering games. They're not even being competitive. And the Lakers are. They're 8-2 their last 10, 5-1 their last 6. They're covering games. They're at home. They have LeBron back. So give me a full-strength Laker team at home playing the way they are, which is good basketball, over a Clippers team that who knows what you're going to get. If you think Savior is going to be the Kawhi Leonard for this Clippers team, I think you're in for a surprise. Give me the Lakers tonight.
All right, so we got a Tuesday night late in the college football season. That spells Maction. We had a little bit of Maction earlier. Eastern Michigan throttled UMass, like everybody does. They went 0-12 on the year. But we have a battle of Michigan. Not Michigan and Ohio State, not Michigan, Michigan State. Eastern Michigan versus Western Michigan. And that game kicks off. Eastern Michigan, 9.5-point favorites tonight. 49.5 is the total. So points to be expected.
Yeah, not a great game, right? it used to be with these MAC games. Boy, it was the greatest thing in the world. Oh, we got college football, on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What a delight it is, right? And, it's the same way a little bit, but I'm kind of done with the MAC being so special. All these teams are just awful. The MAC conference is the worst by far in college football. That said, Mike, I'll take a little flyer on Eastern Michigan. Yeah, you know what? They're 5-1 against the spread their last 6, including 4-1 at home. They're 5-2 against the spread against Western. Line jumped up from 7.5. I saw it even earlier at 10.5, and it's dropped down a little bit to 9.5. Western Michigan is by far the better team, but Eastern Michigan's not getting blown out. If you look at their MAC games and where they 3-4 in the MAC, they're not getting blown out in those games. They're very, very competitive. So why would tonight be any different? Nationally televised game. Give me Eastern Michigan plus the 9.5 to keep this one at least close.
Yeah, Scott's point. Western Michigan 7-4, 6-1 in the MAC, and Eastern 4-7, 3-4 in the MAC, but have been covering their games. Next thing up for us, we are on the ice. We've got Dallas taking on Edmonton. Your thoughts in the NHL tonight?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird night, right? In the world of sports, one hockey game and only 3 NBA games. Normally, the NBA will give you 8, 9, or 10, or the vice versa, the NHL will, one of the two. But it's rare that we only have 4 games total between the 2 leagues. So this is the only one on the board. Edmonton lost to Dallas about a week or so ago in Dallas. Oilers returning back from a long East Coast trip. They went just 3-4. They're not playing good hockey. Dallas is. They're 6-2 their last 8, including 4-1 on the road. They're starting to call for the heads up in Edmonton with their bad road trip, only 3-4, like I said. I'll take Dallas plus the 125. Give me a little flyer. Always like betting against teams, no matter what the sport is, right, Mike? That comes back from long road trips. They just got that moment, and they don't generally play well that first time out at home. So give me Dallas plus the 125 with a hot hockey club versus a cold hockey club.
To Scott's point, light slate tonight. Every team in the NHL in action tomorrow night. So Dallas playing again tomorrow. So a huge slate in the NBA and the NHL tomorrow. So you got a couple of college basketball plays here as well. Lots of college basketball with all of these holiday tournaments. What do you like with Iowa and Mississippi?
Yeah, we're gonna go over here, right? Fran McCaffrey's gone, and Iowa was an over machine with him, but so they've lowered the numbers as you would think they would. But and not that I was putting 90 points on the board like they did, but they are still going over. All but one of the games has gone over so far. Mississippi can score, Iowa can score. Again, I don't think this is going to be 95-90 like it's Gonzaga versus Alabama, but 142.5 is a modest number. Give me the over Hawkeyes, Ole Miss to, in that 80 to 75, 85, 75 range.
You got a battle of California teams, UCLA taking on Cal. What do you like there?
Yeah, you got to go with the under. I heard you talking earlier, Mike, and it's so true that the first really 3 weeks, 4 weeks until you get into conference play, it's tough to get a read in these teams, right? So I have this system where I grab a certain amount of over teams, certain amount of under teams historically, and I just play them religiously for the first 3 weeks of the season. UCLA is one of those teams. They've been good to me so far. They've only had one over. Again, it's either 4-1 or 5-1. 144.5 for a UCLA game is a very big number. Rival game, better defense being played. Give me under 144.5 UCLA Cal.
Maybe one of the unhappiest coaches in America, and Mick Cronin too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter how good the defense is. He thinks it's terrible. So
yeah,
I'm with you on that. Just very hard now with the transfer portal to really get a read on these teams. So unders make a lot of sense to me early on in the season. Thanks, Scott. Talk to you again soon. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back with George Kurtz after this.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I
He
said earlier.
got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we are back on Game Time Decisions. Welcoming in George Kurtz, my old compadre, many years together, sitting in these seats. Good to have you here, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Are you thankful for a Cowboys win that occurred on Sunday? You have to be pretty happy about that.
Well, you have to be happy about that, right? Listen, I'm the first to tell you it's probably a tease. I believe you go by the analytics. The Cowboys saw playoff percentage went up to from 7% to 9%. All right, you got Kansas City on Thanksgiving. Then you got Detroit next Thursday night. The Chargers after that. Okay, then the schedule gets a little easier there at the end of the season. Then Minnesota, Commanders, and the Giants to finish out. Listen, what's the old saying? So you're telling me there's a chance? Well, there's a chance, right? There's a chance here. But let's face it, realistically, they have to beat probably Kansas City or Detroit and then win out. You got to beat the Chargers, Vikings, Commanders, and Giants. That'll get you to, 9 wins? There's your chance there. So I guess if you're a Cowboy fan, Mike, the Quinn Williams deal looks good, right? Looks good. You got 2 number 1 picks coming up. You re-signed George Pickens. The future looks kind of bright.
Yes, but they obviously got rid of Micah in that deal as well. They used some of that capital to get Quinn Williams, who, from a contractual standpoint, is not a long-term deal, right? They could have him through next year, and then they're making some decisions. So he's played well. They had a huge win. I don't want to rain on your parade, but still a lot of questions on the way that personnel decisions have been and were handled earlier this year. Fair to say?
Oh, listen, I would have made the Micah Parsons trade. All right, no way I would have done that here. And I'm not saying the Cowboys are Super Bowl champions. You know how I feel, Mike. Under Jerry Jones and Dak, they ain't going to Super Bowl. Probably not going to a championship game, but they're not going to be an all-star. They're going to be what they always are. They might win a division. They might win the wild card round and lose the divisional round. We've seen this for 20, 25, 30 years now. It's what they do. So they're not going to be Super Bowl champions. No, that won't happen under Jerry. But at least I guess the bottom line is the trade doesn't look as terrible now, the Micah Parsons deal, as it once did. All right. As I said, Quinn Williams looks like he could be a difference maker. And we'll really know, by the way, what do they do with this number 1 pick, right? They're going to have the Packers number 1 pick this year, probably going to be in the 20s. What does that player become?
Yeah, true. Hopefully Donovan Azaraku, one of my favorite guys out of BC, becomes a legitimate pass rusher for them, and he at least becomes a percentage of what Micah was. But really, to close this one out, that was a tremendous win for Dak. It's one of the best regular season wins he's ever had. The comeback, the team they're going against. You and I talked about it a lot, how poor Dak's record is against winning teams, against really good teams, and they were able to pull it off. A team effort, obviously, but credit to Dak for that. And he's 22-2 against the NFC East somehow. So through all of that, he got a good win.
You say usually he doesn't play well again in big games like that, but there's a little caveat there. When it's the NFC East, he does play well against. If that would have been, Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, San Francisco 49ers, they probably don't come back. Dak gets the NFC East at home. What is he, 20-2 now, as you said there? He just doesn't lose to the NFC East at home.
Yep. Okay, let's focus on a little hockey here. I talked about it briefly with Scott Wetzel. Just one game tonight. Stars at Edmonton. The entire league plays tomorrow night, so I'm going to need you to come on and help me out tomorrow night with 15 games going. But what expectations tonight for Stars Oilers?
Now the Oilers are coming off a long road trip here. Normally a long road trip, the first game back at home, it was a 7-game road trip. I think they were gone for 12 days, something like that. 2 sets of back-to-back nights. Usually the first game at home, you don't want to go with the home team. They could be a little sluggish, People forget that sports players, they're people too. They get home, the wives, they got honey-do lists. Listen, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to fix this, and that sort of thing there. So sometimes it'd be better to be on the road here. So I think that could hurt the Oilers a little bit. And I probably would have taken the Stars, no doubt. But remember, Mikko Rantanen, their best player, is suspended tonight. He got the automatic suspension for two back-to-back game misconducts, right? They put Roma for the Islanders out for 5 to 6 months, and then he hit the next game, did the same damn thing there. Great job, NHL, not suspending him the first time, by the way. Really, aces, guys. So Rantanen's out tonight here, and I just have to think that's a big loss there, right? A big loss. So as I told Sam, it's a small play, all right? Small play on the Oilers here. I would probably like the Stars if Rantanen was playing. They're not. Oilers, I think, might be in better shape here. They finally get the win here. They have to win. They have to start putting some points together. Good news for the Oilers, by the way. We're all talking about how poorly they played to start the season. It hasn't mattered. What are they, 4 points out of first place in their division? The whole Western Conference, really, outside of the Colorado Avalanche, is all bunched together here. I'm going to take the Oilers tonight. And listen, it's the Oilers. I'm never betting an under with the Oilers. All right. It's either the over or you're leaving it alone. I got plus money on the Oilers. It was +105, plus 108 here. So I took the over as well here. That's just an automatic. You got to give me plus money on the over with the Oilers. I don't care if Rantanen is playing or not. I have to take it.
Okay, so we talked a little Cowboys. So why don't we just continue with that theme? And how do you think they bounce back against the Chiefs here? The spread opened at 3.5. It's now down to 3, 51.5. If you were listening earlier, it's up to 52.5 now. I think it went up during the show, amazingly. So I'm of the opinion that this game's not going to get to 52.5. I think Steve Spagnuolo is too good as a defensive coordinator to allow Dallas, as explosive as their offense can be, and it won't stun me if it goes over, but as explosive as their offense can be, I think Steve Spagnuolo gets the better of Brian Schottenheimer, especially in the second half. They choke teams out in the second half, and they tend to be lower scoring, even if it gets off to a quick start.
I agree with you. I think you're looking at another Philadelphia Eagles-Cowboys game, 24-21, 27-21, somewhere around there is your final score here. I was very surprised to see 52.5 be this total. Remember, this is not the Cowboys' defense of a month ago either. Whatever you think of the Quentin Williams deal, it has fixed the defense. I'm not saying they're great, by the way, but at least now they're average, right? They're not horrendous. All right, so I'm going to go here with you. I think it's going to be a very close game here. A little surprised that the Chiefs were 3.5 originally. You mentioned it's down to 3 now. Wouldn't surprise me to get a 2.5 by Thursday as well when that Dallas money really comes in here. I think it's going to be a very close game here. Either way, I'll take the points with the Cowboys, which I never do. You know me, I'm a negative Cowboy fan, but I like the under a whole lot more.
Yeah, I'd have a hard time betting the Cowboys. I think I'm looking for live betting opportunities on the Chiefs because I could see the Cowboys getting out to a lead, but we both like the under here. George, we'll talk to you tomorrow night. Lots of NHL on that board. We'll close out the show next.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I
got
said
hit
earlier.
behind the line of scrimmage. You got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, folks. Thanks for joining us here tonight on Game Time Decisions. I'll be back tomorrow night. Kevin taking a couple of days off. He's got to work all throughout this Thanksgiving weekend. So Thanksgiving to you and yours. I'll be back tomorrow night where we have a huge slate of NHL and NBA action and certainly college hoops as well. That Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan game, Eastern Michigan starts off with a touchdown, long sustained drive. They are now getting just 3.5. It was up to 11.5 at one point. Now they're getting 3.5. So if you like Western Michigan, you can bet back into it, as they were 9.5-point favorites to start that game. You're only having to lay 3.5 now with a 50.5 total. College basketball, Tennessee takes the lead on Houston, 53-50. I'll get you a live line on that one. Again, you're going to have Scott Wetzel, Gabe Morency coming up just in a few minutes. And Tennessee now favored, laying 2.5 to the number 3 ranked Houston Cougars. 7:03 left in that game. 131 is the total. We did have a final with USC and Seton Hall. That one went down to the wire, and USC gets the victory there. And a few other games happened earlier today, too. You got lots of action all throughout the day. St. John's beat Baylor, and Iowa State beat Creighton, and NC State beat Boise. So a lot of these games in your back pocket already, but still lots of action now. Bonnie's, I mentioned earlier, we're tight with North Carolina. North Carolina has opened up 16-point lead right now. Lots of college hoops to bet on. I mentioned Ohio State and Mount St. Mary's, and you got other games ranked here to show the ranked action coming up a little bit later. You got KSU, Kansas State, and Indiana. You got Auburn, Michigan, Maryland, Gonzaga, UCLA, Cal. Scott Wetzel likes the under on that UCLA Cal game, and then UNLV taking on Alabama. I watched that Gonzaga-Bama game, and there's a ton of athletes on the floor for these teams. So really impressive to watch Gonzaga, that was trailing, come back and get that win. They're laying 14.5 to Maryland. That is a huge number, but I really don't know how Maryland keeps pace. That Gonzaga team's impressive yet again, like they always are. Indiana laying 10.5 to Kansas State feels like too many. So I think I like the dog there. But give me Gonzaga laying 14.5 in what I expect to be another big performance. You got the NBA games coming up as well. We're just about to tip off with Orlando and Philly. We talked a little bit about Paolo's not in, but the Sixers are a mash unit. They are home dogs for a reason. I don't know that the Sixers will keep pace with that many people out. I think they're looking towards another game. So I think you take Orlando, just lay it here, as Sixers have too many guys that are out. And then you have the Lakers versus the Clippers tonight. Scott Wetzel gave you the angle there. Do you think Kawhi is going to come back in and save the day? 6.5 feels like a lot to lay there again, but Lakers have been really good defensively, and I don't know that the Clippers coming back. With Kawhi back on the floor, it certainly gives them an edge, but his first game back, we talk often on this show, on this network, about you kind of want to see a little bit first before you're going to put your hard-earned money on somebody to back it. So you like to bet with streaks, not bet against streaks. I think the Lakers are where you want to be tonight. So NBA Cup action will be exciting all night as Gabe and Wetzel take you through those two games live. And then the NHL action, just that one game tonight where you have the Stars taking on the Oilers. George likes the over, and Wetzel likes the Stars to take out Edmonton tonight because they're coming off a big road trip. So excited to be here with you all night tonight and tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is as big a slate as you can possibly get in the NHL and the NBA, with 26 games to be covered and lots of college hoops to ease you into your Thanksgiving football Thursday. We'll talk a lot more about that as well. I can just tell you that I'll take in the under in that Chiefs-Cowboys game. I think the Packers line is one for me. I don't really see – I think the Bengals will throw all night, and you can take the Joe Burrow pass attempts over. But I think the Ravens will win that game. 7's just a lot for a divisional game. The Packers-Lions game, divisional game with two good teams, that's a hard one. The Lions at home are a much different team, as you saw in the second half of the Giants game, but I'll think about that one. I'll give you an answer tomorrow night.